Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
This guy doesn't just like football, he loves football.
And the fans are doing the wave around the stadium, and so I'm just watching, and I hear Ben Johnson's like, "Hey, coach, you want to?" And I'm so focused on the wave, and I said, "Yeah, that's fine." And I look up, and we're throwing it to Panay, and I'm like, "What the are we doing?" Coach said it was fine, but it worked out great.
Football, yeah, football.
So great.
Okay, I keep thinking about this clip. That was, by the way, that was the Pat McAfee show. Dan Campbell joining yesterday. How does it feel? Vikings fans, it already stings, but like to know that the head coach of the Lions was just like transfixed on the wave during this crucial game-altering play, paying almost no attention. And then on the flip side, Lions fans, you're like in the playoff hunt now. You're playing relevant football in December. It's a division game. There's a couple minutes left. The game is on the line. They're so far removed from that scenario as fans. They have no idea what to do. It's like they just, what do we do? The wave. Let's just do the wave. What? Why are you doing the wave?
Yeah, that's a great. I didn't even think of that part. That's a great point.
It's ridiculous. So anyhow, this is Purple Daily, daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We reject 500 football around here, and the Vikings have done so mostly this season as well. The show is presented by our friends at TCL. No matter what you watch, TCL has award-winning TVs for any budget, any space, all with stunning picture quality. And TCL makes more than just TVs. They offer mobile products, audio devices, home appliances. TCL brings you joy and simplicity through innovative technology. Before we get into Maya Mackey is very excited.
Oh, she wants a Nutrisource.
Stella.
She wants a Nutrisource. I don't blame her one bit.
No. Well, I might have to give her some Surly, actually, to just sort of calm her down so I can record this podcast. What kind of Surly should I give Maya here? We don't actually advise this, folks. I'm just kidding.
No, we don't, but there's so many choices here. You know what? I'd go before I die, because Maya should live the Surly/purple lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm,
if you're a Vikings fan, it's all about before I die. Okay, Sunday was a setback. I understand that, but you're going to lose games. What you want to do is you want to make that run to the biggest game of them all, which technically this is an ad now. I can't say it, but it's the big game we all know about. And you know what? Before I die makes it a perfect way to enjoy, as Mike Tice once said, enjoy the season. Enjoy the Surly, and show us your cans at Score North on Twitter, at Jay Zolgad. Show us your cans, whatever you're sipping on of Surly.
All right, boys. It is time for the most innovative, high-wire, risky segment in all of sports talk. It's called Write That Down, and we're the only version of this. First of all, there's an imitator out there on NFL Network. They have stolen Write That Down, but this is the original. And we actually keep track of our predictions with statistics. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns. The only show in America that actually has the cojones enough to put our reputations on the line. The rules are simple. 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from everybody each week. And listeners, if you want to jump in here like our guy Nate is about to, you can send us a message through the Score North app, and we'll get you scheduled sometime for maybe early in 2023. Tight races in both the completion percentage and touchdown departments, boys. Very tight races. We'll start with Judd here. 3 things came off the board for you, Judd. Ooh. You said the Vikings would win their next 3 games.
Oh, God. Oh. Wow. That's not what upsets my stomach. Oh.
You said the Broncos would win the AFC West. It is now mathematically not possible.
Oh, my God.
You did say, however, that Christian Darrisaw would miss his next 3 games against the Patriots, Jets, and the Lions with the concussion. He did. Sounds like he'll be back this weekend. Yes. Hopefully he stays healthy. Kind of a scary deal there. All right, Macadac, 3 things came off the board for me. Start with the bad. I said Dalvin Cook would run for over 100 yards, a touchdown. He did have a touchdown, and a 30-yard run or more. Well, he had a 5-yard run. Does that count?
Trying to make yourself feel better.
About 100 stuffs at the line. Yeah, exactly.
I said TJ Hawkinson would get a game ball after this one was over. Well, if he wouldn't have dropped a pass, maybe they would have kept the drive alive.
No game ball for you.
Guy. But I did tell you that old Kirky boy, noon games against the Lions are his Super Bowls.
Good call.
I told you 300-plus yards for the second time all year, 2 or more passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. A 3-item Kirk parlay is a home run, or a touchdown, I guess. So there you go. You know, it's funny. All weekend long, I was actually mad about this for the last 72 hours because I thought I predicted 3 or more passing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as I was watching the game, I was like, oh, he only needs 1 more in garbage time. And so I was mad for 72 hours until I found the language of the prediction, and I said 2. I said 2. So there you go. Listeners, strap in. This is rough. Amir said the Vikings would seal the game against the Lions with a defensive takeaway. He also said Hawkinson would have 5 or more catches for 81 or more yards and a touchdown. Our guy Surly Dave said the Vikings would go undefeated in divisional play. Drew said KOC would win 4 of his first 5 challenges in the regular season. He has actually, I think he's 1 for 3 so far this year.
Oh, wow.
And then Alex said your division winners for this year would be Chiefs, Ravens, Titans, Bills, all still possible. Vikings still possible. Cowboys still possible. But Rams and Saints, the Rams specifically, are now mathematically eliminated from winning their division.
Still got the ring.
They do.
Give me the ring. I'll take the ring any day.
Yep. All right, Declan, you said Vikings would win by 7 or more.
Yeah.
Vikings would win the third quarter. They didn't.
No.
But you did say the Vikings-Lions would combine for over 750 yards. They actually went over 800 yards in that game. So with that, look at this race. My goodness. With, a month and a half left in the football season here, Declan leads the completion department with 36.2% completions over Judd's 35.4%, over my 34.8%. We are all separated by 1.4% completions. Listeners are down to 20.7%. We do have a new leader in the touchdown department. Old Macadac up to 14 over Declan's 13. Check down Judd at 8, and the listeners struggling at 5.
I'm Peyton at the end, man. I'm getting it done. People
All right,
are
Chad
ripping me for still playing.
Chad
People
Pennington.
are Chad Pennington. I love Chad Pennington.
I like Chad.
Just dumping the ball off.
That's hilarious. All right, so there's your accountability session. Let's get Nate in here with his Randy Moss jersey, making his debut on Write That Down. Nate, what's going on, man? Tell us about your Vikings fan history. So you were telling us you were kind of born around the time Randy Moss came into the league. What's your Vikings background?
Yeah, I am actually from Providence, Rhode Island, so that's in New England. I grew up seeing 6 Super Bowls, and I was not a fan of any of them, unfortunately. So I just tell people I'm a masochist at this point.
Yeah.
My favorite player in 2008 when I was a little kid growing up was Adrian Peterson. And 2009, I was just like, this is my team. And I still remember that NFC Championship. I was profusely crying because I was a child. And my dad was just laughing hysterically. But no, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I follow Boston sports, everything else, because I can't do all Minnesota. I'm sorry. No, I just don't have that. I can't do that.
No offense.
That's smart. Yeah.
I can't do that. You know,
you got to diversify your masochism.
You got the Celtics. Yeah, I understand.
You know what I mean? I need some, the most spoiled fans in the world, New England fans. And I just need to be spoiled a bit. But, Vikings are still my number 1 team. I'd rather them win a Super Bowl than, the Celtics or anybody else get their 900th championship.
Right.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my
awesome,
story.
man. Love it. Who's hanging out in the background there?
Poor doggy's upset.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with Azula.
Oh.
She's
Is she wearing a Vikings jersey?
Yeah, she's wearing a little. She's a little dog's Vikings
jersey.
She's like,
I don't want to be a Vikings fan, Dad. Why are you making me?
Yeah, it was. Fan? I don't know. She was born in West Virginia. She shouldn't be talking any crap. All right, but no, I don't know. I woke up this morning and she was like, "I'm going to ruin your day, Dad." She's just been asking for butt scratches, and one time you guys had me on vet line and she was barking so loud.
That's right.
You guys had to kick me off. And I just don't know. I just don't know. She's like every single time. She just really does not want to be a Vikings fan.
Oh, well.
But she has no choice, you know?
She might have good taste, dude. I mean, she read up. She's like, 4 Super Bowl losses? I want no part of this, Dad.
She probably saw she probably saw clips of the Ed Donatel Thursday press conference that just came out that we will get to later on. She's wondering, what is that guy talking about? So, all right, let's get into it here. Nate, we're going to start with you. We'll go around the room 3 different times. So, Nate, Judd, Declan, back to me. Football or show-related predictions, they must be quantifiable. Otherwise, everything else is pretty much fair game. So, all right, so go ahead,
Nate. So we're facing the Colts this Saturday. And fortunately, fortunately, the pride of Rhode Island actually does play for the Colts. I actually got to share a field with this man in high school. Quiddy Pay, first round pick ever from Rhode Island. He will get at least 1 sack. We're gonna go safe. He's gonna get at least 1 sack or more against the Vikings this Saturday.
All right. I love it. Yeah, the listeners do need some help just getting their completion percentage up here. So just a little wheel route out of the backfield here would be helpful. All right, Judd.
All right. Speaking of the defensive coordinator of the Vikings, write this down. Ed Donatel will no longer be the Vikings defensive coordinator by 2 weeks after the season ends. So off the record, I think he'll be let go pretty quickly. But, this staff, who knows, they're, collaborative and they like to be nice guys, blah, blah, blah. So Dex, I'm saying 2 weeks after the season ends, Easy Ed will be looking for work.
Let me clarify this. The Vikings season ends or the NFL Super Bowl season ends?
Vikings season ends. Thank you.
Okay. Want clarification.
Want to be clear here.
Let me clarify.
Be clear. Just be clear.
Yeah. Very, very good clarification. Thank you very much.
Be clear. Okay. Dex.
All right. My first prediction. Write this down. At least 2 interceptions for Matt Ryan and the Colts. Matt Ryan will throw at least 2 interceptions. He's been interception happy all season this year. So I think Matt Ryan will throw a couple.
Go downstairs.
Here, let's just mute.
You're good.
Okay.
He'll get on the record. I think he'll throw at least 2 picks against the Vikings. So 2 interceptions for Matt Ryan.
Is that that might be a touchdown? 2 picks.
I think I got a touchdown right for my prediction.
For Mike White, yeah.
So,
I know we think, the Colts are garbage, but like predicting 2 or more interceptions,
it's very specific.
It's a rare,
yeah.
It's a rare thing.
I'm good with that.
So, and it's less about the specificity and more about the rarity of the prediction that makes it a touchdown.
Yes.
Specificity helps. But
Write this down.
Talk to me.
I'm going to one-up Declan here. I'm going to be a one-upper.
Wow.
Write this down. Vikings defense parlay. There will be this come to Jesus week of discussions will result in a bounce back. Not only will they force 2 or more turnovers, they will hold the Colts to 17 or fewer points in this game. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna one up that even. Only twice this season.
The Colts won't show up.
The Colts, only twice this season have they held opponents to 16 or fewer points. So let's drop it by a point. 16 or fewer points. The only time the Vikings have done that is against Miami with a third-string quarterback and Green Bay in week 1. Otherwise, every other game they've allowed more than 16 points. So it'll be one of their 3 best defensive performances, and they will turn the ball over at least twice. Okay.
Write this down.
All right, let's go back to Nate here.
Hello. How we doing? Sorry, I had to bring her downstairs. She's being ridiculous.
That's all good. That's all good.
I'm actually going to make another New Englander prediction. Now, this man happens to actually wear a Vikings jersey. So just a quick little story, won't be too long. My senior year of high school, I made it to the New England Championships of Wrestling. If you get top 3 in your state, you get to go to the New England Championships and get your butt kicked, essentially. That's what happened to me. And I'm like on the mat getting warmed up, and I meet this ginormous dude, a heavyweight, very fiery orange hair. And, we're just talking. He was the defending New England champ. And I shake his hand. I'm like, hey, we were just shooting the SHIT. And I was like, what's your name? He's like, well, my name is Josh, but you can just call me by my last name, Sokol. So Josh Sokol, I actually met, I think that was like the second time I met him. I think I met him in an off-season tournament as well. So write this down. Josh Sokol will be on the active 53-man roster at the start of the 2023 season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. So he was kind of a training someone to watch during like off season and training camp. I think he was on the Mr. Mankato discussion list at one point for us. Hasn't gotten any run yet, but I like it.
Write this down.
All right, Judd, what's your second prediction?
All right. Lions offensive coordinator, the guy that Dan Campbell was talking about, his name's Ben Johnson, will get an interview, at least one interview for an NFL head coaching job this offseason. He's going to get, and I think he deserves it. I mean, Jared Goff looks really good right now. Their offense has components that are being used correctly. So I think that Ben Johnson, that's the name of the OC, is going to get at least one interview for a head coaching job.
Yep.
Okay.
Write this down.
Declan?
All right, my next prediction. Write this down. The Vikings beat the Colts by 10 or more points.
Dude, Declan and I are just like, apparently have the same freaking predictions.
Or more points. Just for God's sakes, it's Jeff Saturday. They're mailing it in. Matt Ryan's a shell of himself. Just beat the brakes off this team, please.
Is that a touchdown? So they're 4-point favorites right now. Is 10 or more a touchdown? It's kind of borderline.
A home game against a bad team.
It's a borderline. It's a good, solid.
I'm not in the race there, so it's up to you.
Well, you're still on the committee.
That's still, yes, that does not mean you are.
No,
you
but
can
I'm
just
saying
neglect yourself from.
I know. I'm saying
you're like
so.
one of the three people on the show. Like you
I'm
can't just
saying
be like,
I
I have nothing to do with this.
I don't have much to do with it, but I say no.
I think it's a no dog. Yeah, it's a no dog. But
Okay,
it's a good solid nod.
Yep.
Okay. All right, write this down. I guess so. I had a similar prediction. I actually had 13, and I'm going to go away from that. I'm gonna say the Vikings. I think this is a home run. You guys tell me or not. The Vikings are going to hold a 20-point lead or more at some point in this game against the Colts. They'll hold a 20-point lead or more.
I think that's a touchdown. Yes, it's specific. I know Judd is not in the touchdown race, so I don't know what his opinion is on it.
Yeah, Judd, do you have an opinion on this, or are you just going to not talk?
It's a touchdown. It's borderline, but it's a touchdown. The Colts.
I would say it's not. Again, it's the likeliness. Is it likely they're going to hold a 3-touchdown lead on the Colts?
As I said, borderline, but yeah, touchdown's fine.
Oh, okay,
it's barely a touchdown.
If Purple Daily comment section on the YouTube channel, if you guys have strong takes on this, let us know.
Write this down.
All right, Nate, what's your third and final prediction?
Sweet. I'm actually going to go. I think this should be a touchdown, but it's pretty likely. It's going to be a 3-legged parlay for himself, Justin Jefferson. A lot of people have said this, but I'm just going to reiterate. This year, he will win Offensive Player of the Year. He will be on the cover of Madden 24, whatever the next Madden is, and he will get the highest value wide receiver contract in NFL history.
Definitely a touchdown. If all three of those things happen, it's a touchdown for sure.
Absolutely. But he's him. He's amazing.
Yep.
He is ridiculous. Just back up 5 Brinks trucks to that guy's house, wherever he lives.
Give him a blank check, let him fill it in.
Yes. All right, Nate, great stuff from you, man. Since you've got this platform here on Purple Daily, this life-changing moment right now, is there anyone you'd like to thank that got you here?
So I'll start off with this. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys. Living in Baltimore and then growing up in New England, not too much purple love all around. So your podcast has definitely helped me. I'd like to thank my Nova Vikes fan, Northern Virginia Vikings. It's about 1,000 of us strong. We rent out a bar every single Sunday, Saturday to go watch the games. Nice. My partner, Lauren, who hates the Vikings, but I make her wear a jersey and watch the games with me. But everybody else from New England, no, I'm not thanking you for anything. All right. From here on out, for the rest of the year, I am no longer a New Englander. I'm no longer a Rhode Islander. Your guys' beer, mid. Your Dunkin' Donuts coffee, mid. All right? Catch me in Minnesota with my Juicy Lucy, my Surly, and a winning team. Because it seems like the Patriots are at the bottom of their division right now. So all these years making fun of me, all these years asking me if I lost the bet because I'm wearing a Vikings jersey. Yeah, you guys have come back to rue. You guys will rue that day. All right. Thank you, guys.
Nate, yes. There it is. Bringing it. The Bret Hart shades and everything. Awesome, dude. All right, we'll get you on again, Nate. Good luck with your predictions, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I feel like everyone should just have to like cut a promo at the end of their.
Oh, God, that was awesome.
We need more promos being cut. Wrestling promos.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, that's great. All right, let's wrap it up here. Judd, your final prediction.
All right, Dalvin Cook's going to bounce back from a disappointing game. I think the offensive line is going to be more intact, which will help the rushing game, and he will rush for 100 or more yards Saturday.
All right.
Just a simple one. Dalvin Cook will come back with a 100 or 100-plus yard game.
Sounds good.
Write this down.
All right, Declan.
All right, write this down. Little Jefferson and Hawkinson prediction here. I'm going to combine them. JJ and TJ Hawkinson will haul in a combined 12 receptions or more. 12 receptions or more for JJ and TJ Hawkinson against the Colts. Write it down.
Okay, 12 or more combined between the two?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Write this down.
Write this down. Mike Pettin will be named the Vikings' next defensive coordinator by, I don't know, March 1st. I'll put a deadline on it. Mike Pettin he'll just kind of slide in, just slide right over. Maybe he'll still be the assistant head coach. I don't know, but it's an easy internal move. I see your Brandon Staley. I see that. That makes some sense too, but a lot of dominoes have to fall there. I think the easiest move is just take the guy that's already in-house and move him. So there you go. Those of you write that down predictions, your accountability session. The only show in America that actually has the guts to put statistics next to our predictions. Boys, we have to get into some of the things that Ed Donatel was saying and sort of justifying in his Thursday press conference in just a moment here. A shout out, however, to the official sports bar of the Sports Dad, Judd Zolgad. You're rocking the Park Tavern hoodie again. You're like a cartoon character
that
only wears one thing these days.
Yeah, well, so what? So what? It's you know
great.
what?
That's
it's
great.
comfortable. It's comfortable. It's cozy. Just like, let me think about it. That's right. Park Tavern, the bar itself, which is in my hometown here of St. Louis Park, located off Louisiana Avenue South. And I want to remind you, Park Tavern open 365 days a year. So if you're looking for Christmas Eve bowling, if you're looking for something to do on Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Park Tavern is open on all of those days. In fact, they're open every day of the year. And if you're going to stop in, I want to remind you that you can get one of these gift cards. And what it is you buy a $100 gift card and you get right now a $25 bonus gift card, unless you go into Park Tavern and take advantage of the Black Friday deal by saying, you know what, Sports Dad and Score North told me to come in and buy one, and then you get a $50 bonus. Yes, instead of $25, a $50 bonus gift card. If you have a party or something that you want to organize, Park Tavern is the perfect place. Contact them, 952-929-6810, or go to parktavern.net to make a reservation right now. Parktavern.net. Park Tavern, as Phil said, the official sports bar of the Sports Dad.
A shout out to our friends also at Federated Mutual Insurance Company. Federated, been around for over 100 years, like having a great offensive line for your business. They stand by businesses with really the one measurement being they measure their success by the success of your business. So it really is a close relationship that you will get when you partner with Federated, and you'll get over 100 years of trusted resources, knowledge, expertise, and guidance. Federatedinsurance.com to find out more information. Federated, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, boys, let's dive into just a few things here from the Ed Donatel. We don't have any clips because this is kind of coming down as we're recording, so I'm just going to read you some quotes and some random tweets, and you guys stop me or chime in as you wish. So Kevin Seifert, our friend from ESPN.com, said reporters just had a really engaging session with Ed Donatel. He took all questions, acknowledged the need to cover tighter and rush better, but he pointed more to execution than scheme and said, eventually we'll be there. We know what we're doing and how to do it. There's more here. I just want to start with that idea. And I trust, we obviously weren't in the room for this press conference, but I trust Kevin's interpretation of Ed Donatel.
Yes.
That he is pointing more to execution than scheme.
Yep.
And then saying, quote, eventually we'll be there. It's December 14th.
Right. Yeah. There's no, and you are 10-3. And the thing about this is, if you had 7 wins right now, I would say, oh, okay, cool. You're going somewhere. You're building something up. But the reality is, you have 10 wins. You have a chance for a special year. And we saw on Sunday, and we've now seen for 5 consecutive games that you were giving up 400 plus yards. Like, you can't downplay that. You can't downplay it. You can downplay 1 or 2 hiccups. But this is consistent. But the key to me in that quote is Donatel continues to say, my scheme works. And the execution, which is i.e. players. The players aren't executing my scheme. And I keep coming back to this. How does Kevin O'Connell feel if Ed is telling him this? How does O'Connell feel? Because the whole thing about coaching, in my opinion now, is, yeah, your scheme might be great, but you have to fit the talent to the scheme. They have to be married. So it can't be this like, well, the players will figure this out eventually, but right now they're not. I'm doing a great job. Ed has been saying this all season long.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I covered him in 2003 with the Packers, he can be very, like, he's a goofy sort of guy, but he can seem very open. And so, like, I totally get that he appears to be, he's not snippy. He's honestly answering questions, or at least it comes off that way. But Phil, I'm with you. One, the clock is ticking. The clock is run out. Like, it can't be, we'll get there. When? Next season? And the second thing is, it's continually, to me, this underlying theme of, well, it's the execution. That means the players. You can't be blaming the players now. You've got to find a way. I hope Kevin O'Connell, if this is what Ed told Kevin, I hope Kevin said, we need to fix this. Like, let's stop blaming the players and let's find out, what do you need to do to adjust to help the players right now? Because we have 10 damn wins, and you can get eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, pulling the garbage that this scheme is pulling right now, or this execution is pulling right now.
Yeah. Here's a few more quotes here. This is from Pioneer Press. Ed Donatel, quote, "We like our 4-man rush, and they have been so close so many times." Well, the Vikings have more 4-man rushes or 3-man rushes than all but like 5 teams. They rarely send an extra guy. Now, I think they actually sent an extra runner 30% of the dropbacks on Sunday, which is a higher percentage by about double than they had this
16
season.
Before that.
Yep.
And 32 on Sunday, you said.
So they did more of it. It didn't really work that well. But I just, again, he's saying, listen, we like our 4-man rush. They're so close. They're getting so close. Dude, I'll say it again. It's December 14th. They're not so close. The NFL is all about so close. The games are so close. The Texans almost beat the Cowboys. Everything is close. The scores are close. The matchups, the battles in the trenches are close, right? What's the extra thing that puts it over the top here? Ben Gessling, here's his interpretation from the Star Tribune. Donatel said players, quote, "are doing what they're being coached to do, but it's unrealistic to expect the scheme to change drastically at this point. They'll work to get players tighter in coverage." He also added that Zadarius Smith is fully healthy now after having kind of a banged-up knee earlier in the year. And he looked more spry. He looked like he was bouncing around more against Detroit, which is good. But so on one hand, he is saying verbatim, it's more of an execution issue than a scheme issue. But then on the other hand, he's saying players are doing what they're being coached to do. So if they're doing what they're being coached to do and the defense isn't effective, then how is it an execution issue of the scheme? This is where he's making this harder on himself.
Well,
it's
trying
like
to
he's
cover
so
for himself.
His pride is preventing him from saying, you know what, we just haven't coached well enough. We have to find a way. He keeps putting it on the players, and both are to blame. But I hate that he's acknowledging like it's the players. I mean, yeah, there's some scheme things we can look at, but like, come on, these guys aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
don't say that publicly.
And he said this now at least twice during the course of this year. There was a come to Jesus. It's probably around the Dolphins game because they actually improved for a couple of weeks there. Around the Dolphins game, he said the same stuff. And that is the scheme works. I'm telling you, this is a repeat on the other side of the football from Childress 2006 when he told Seifert flat out, because Kevin said it was coming off that Packers game in Green Bay, which was Tavares' first start, and it was a debacle. And the offense looked awful. And I think the Vikings scored, Fred Smoot scored on a pick. But beyond that, I don't think that they scored a point. And Kevin asked Brad, are there some things here that does this really work? Blah, blah, blah. And Brad came back with the famous quote, this is a kick-ass offense. And this feels very much like the same thing, which is the coaches who say, well, my scheme works. It's the execution. You know what? If I'm O'Connell, I don't care. I'm the head coach of this team, and you need to fix it. And going in the locker room and telling 11 guys or more, hey, you know what? This is really on. You guys need to go home and execute this better. That ain't going to work. So to me, these quotes that you've read, interpreted, I think, pretty well by a bunch of people that cover this team, are unacceptable.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Here's a couple more real quick here. From Kevin Seifert, ultimately, Donatel is maintaining his trademark optimism. Quote, this will be good for everybody in here to see. He told a room full of reporters. We'll work out of this. There's no question that we'll come out of this. Yeah, I mean, I'm an optimistic guy, like generally in life too, and I love it. But I don't love this commitment to the scheme. It's like if you would have told me before the season, okay, let's forget about the scheme for a second. I'm going to give you a largely healthy Zadarius Smith for every game, basically. Daniil Hunter, healthy. Patrick Peterson, healthy and spry, like playing almost like he did in his prime. Harrison Smith, mostly healthy. Eric Hendricks, healthy. Jordan Hicks, healthy. These guys might not be all the same players they were a few years ago, but they're not totally cooked. And I'm going to give you a couple young guys like Cam Dantzler and Patrick Jones and stuff. So that collection right there, before we talk about scheme, would you expect that group of smart veteran players that still have some gas left in the tank? And a couple guys, by the way, maybe up to 3 guys that might be Hall of Fame bound at some point. Patrick Peterson, Harrison Smith, if maybe Daniil Hunter with the start to his career that he had. Should that collection, Ed, be last in the NFL in yardage defense? The answer seems pretty obvious, right?
Yeah,
no,
yes.
It should not.
And
I'm not saying it should be number 1, but it should be closer to 15, 16, or 10th, or 18th than 32nd.
yeah, and you've got to, you know what? This season's been a lot of fun, and the circumstances in which you're in paint a very different picture than I imagine a lot of people internally and externally thought possible, right? But this is no time to glom on to, well, you just wait. I mean, we're going to get this fixed eventually. He's giving no timetable. I hope O'Connell, I hope that what he is saying is what he thinks, and privately there's more going on behind the scenes to fix this than that. Then it works. I mean,
Trust us.
Yeah, it's a hollow promise, because you now are in a position to win at least a playoff game, if not possibly 2. And here's the thing that I want to see. I want to see this team go into the playoffs with a chance to win every game it plays. Like, if you get past the first round, which I will say now, if you don't, and good for you for setting this expectation, but if you don't win your first round game here at home, the season to me is disappointing. Yeah. Because you've now established an expectation of, oh, wow, this is really a pretty damn good team. And then going into your second game, which is going to be tough as hell, I want to see you give yourselves a chance and saying, well, maybe in our second playoff game, our defense is going to fire on all cylinders because everyone's going to get it. That's, you know, it's one thing to be positive. It's another to be either naive or just simply blowing smoke.
So do you guys, I'm going to give you the proverbial, the gun to the head here, that you find yourself in a crazy situation where someone has a gun to your head for a football take, and you have to be right, okay?
Dan Campbell.
It's a water pistol, but yeah. Do you think the defense will turn around in the last 4 games of the regular season? And if you do, how much do you think it can turn around?
I don't think you can just like flip a switch and become really good again. The 2 areas I'd like to see them improve, which are the 2 areas I thought the Vikings defense, if they utilize these situations, they can still be an effective defense. That doesn't mean top 5, but again, effective and playoff caliber. Let's maybe call it that. A playoff caliber defense that you can at least trust. Can you be really good in the red zone? And can you dial up more pressure? Those are 2 areas I think that are obtainable, that you can fix, and that you can hang your hat on, that at the end of the day, we might give up 350 yards per game because we're going to have teams march up and down the 20s, but we're going to stop, and we're either going to hold them to 3 points, and we're going to blitz the hell out of the quarterback. can you dial up more pressures, and can you stop teams from scoring 6 when you're in the red zone? I think, though, because you can't just flip the. I'll even defend Donatel. You're not just going to completely change the scheme on week 14. Football is so difficult. It's not like a trade deadline where you plug in a player in another sport and that team automatically becomes better because they have a better 3-hitter in the lineup. You can't just change the entire scheme overnight. But can you be better in certain areas that are obtainable? And I think that's where Ed Donatel can hopefully dial up more pressures and figure out ways to not be a complete sieve in the red zone. Those are the 2 areas I think you can fix. But I don't think you can just make the defense better overnight either.
Here's where they sit in some of these categories. So Andrew Kramer has a bunch of these rankings, and I'm putting a couple of these just in here too. So they're 24th in pressure rate. They are 17th in sack rate. So it's, again, below average, not as much of a train wreck. 18th in red zone percentage. So not a total train wreck, but below average. Here's some of the big ones. They are 30th in punts forced, a 30% punt rate, which means the other 70% are scoring drives or turnovers. They do have a pretty good takeaway rate.
Yes.
32nd, dead last in 3-and-out rate. And that doesn't shock me at all because it just seems like the Lions on Sunday just kept moving the chains and crossing midfield, and now it's like, oh, can they bend but not break? And
you're right.
Yep. They're dead last in passing yards allowed per game, just under 290, and they're dead last in total yards allowed per game. They are averaging giving up 404 yards per game. The 3-and-outs is a killer because they've been they've been a 3-and-out offense. That's one of the big flaws of the offense not just with O'Connell, but it's been kind of a Kirk Cousins thing that they just have a lot of 3-and-outs on offense, and they're not getting 3-and-outs. Their defense is just sitting on the field getting tired, and then the offense has a 3-and-out. Now the defense goes back out there. It's just a spiral that they haven't been able to stop.
And they're terrible against the pass, and they're not statistically nearly as bad against the rush. But to that point of potential 3-and-outs, think about all the times that you see a guy take the ball on a handoff and get 5 yards, and then he gets 7 yards, and then he gets 4 yards. I mean, that's the thing, is that keeps drives alive, because what happens a lot of times, your opponent comes up in third and manageable, and now it's a first down. To Declan's point, though, so I think that there's a conversation to be had here that's fairly important, because I think the observation is, and Ed's going to gaslight your butt on this one badly, which is the scheme thing. Can't change the scheme. I mean, my scheme works. Okay, but think about the best coaches in this league. You don't change your scheme. No one's asking you to change your scheme. But here's what you do. You adjust. This is a league of adjustments. Teams see things on film. I mean, these people do nothing but watch film. Like, they have no life. O'Connell has a family. He's got a young child. I guarantee he's seen that kid about, 2 days a week or something, because these guys work, and I'm giving them credit for it. But that works on both sides. So, no, Ed, nobody's asking you to change your damn scheme. What we are saying is this. Danielle Hunter's PFF grades are excellent. We never really see that, though. There has to be a way to figure out how to tweak things and adjust things. See, that's where the whole scheme thing to me is a lazy, from a coach's thing. Well, we can't change our scheme now. We've installed it. Okay, that's awesome. But you're getting gashed. You're getting embarrassed. You're not, and from the eye test, we can see you're not necessarily using guys correctly. No one's saying you have 11 good players, but you're essentially telling us everyone's executing poorly. This defense is being gashed enough that you are telling us. So you're telling me Danielle Hunter is being exploited. You're telling me the corners, Patrick Peterson, who, by the way, I think also PFF-wise grades up pretty well. You're telling me it's not doing the scheme right.
Harrison Smith.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
That's the amazing
I'm calling
thing.
him on this crap. This scheme thing, because you're again, just like we talked about with the Twins on M&J, you're gaslighting us now. You're hiding behind a convenient phrase that you think we'll all be like, oh, Ed said the scheme. No, come on, dude. You've got to get more from your players. Maybe not every one of them, but there's several who have a lot more to give.
And to me, it's not like the 2013 Vikings that's the last team that was 32nd. That was the 32nd ranked scoring defense. This is the 32nd ranked yards defense. So there's a little bit of a difference. This is not the worst points defense, because they have been able to force some turnovers and stuff. But when you look at that group of starters in 2013, I just pulled it up.
Yes.
It's a combination of some young guys that have no idea what they're doing, like Josh Robinson, Chris Cook. They had a couple cornerbacks that had no idea what they were doing.
Yep.
Anderson Dejo was a young safety on that team, clueless. Although I think Harrison Smith might have been on this team.
He was, but he was young too.
Yep.
Certainly.
And then you had
now.
like Latroy Guy. You had a major talent issue like Latroy Guyon, but then you had old Kevin Williams, old Jared Allen that were they were not like prime Daniil Hunter. Those guys were just like over the cliff at that point. Brian Robinson was 30 years old. So the guys that were supposed to get after quarterbacks were all over the age of 30. Greenway was over 30. He kind of played the Kendricks role. The point I'm getting at is you looked at the personnel on that 2013 Vikings defense that was worse in the NFL, and you said, yeah, this makes sense. There's not a lot of dynamic guys on that defense. You look at this collection, and you're like, okay, there's definitely some aging guys, definitely lost a step. For sure, the middle linebackers have lost a step, but not like worst defense in the league. So I just keep going back to, you just said it too. He's insinuating, hey, these guys aren't executing my scheme. Okay, so they're all cooked or they're idiots? Like what is the insinuation here?
It's on you, and it's on you to fix it. You are the defensive coordinator. It's on you to fix this. It's not on it's not on players who clearly aren't being used correctly to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you wanted for the last 6 months."
Yeah.
And also the other dangerous thing he's implying, because he's full of crap, is when he says that it will start to click. Here's the problem. As you pointed out, Phil, one of the key statistics for why the Vikings defense points wise is not terrible is turnovers, right? We've had conversations about this. Those are not predictable. They ordinarily go in waves of years. So like, if you're telling me that that's going to be a primary thing next year too, you can't guarantee that. So like you have, and I don't want to say it's all good luck, because, the Vikings have made some very nice plays to get the ball on defense. That being said, I think we went through this, Phil, if I'm not mistaken, in the old radio days with the Bears one year. One of the Bears' really good years, they had a ridiculous amount of forced turnovers, and we basically went through the previous years of things, and you can't count on those.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And he's been kind of dismissing the yardage stuff as if like yards don't win games. No, dude, they do. They do. In the absence of turnovers, yards absolutely win and lose games. It's the process by which you move into scoring range. So it's almost like he has a fundamental lack of understanding of defensive process or something. And far be it from me to like tell him how to coach, because I've never coached football before, but I know enough to know that you can't give up 6 yards of play and expect to hold teams at bay or hold teams under 20 points. Mathematically, that's almost impossible, and it's coming to a head here. So what's the best scheme for losing weight this time of year, Judd?
You know what? That's not hard. And that is one that we can all execute. And there's going to be no confusion, because it starts with this: Livia Weight Control Centers. That's right. In fact, you know what? I've got some stats to back this up too. Me personally lost 40 pounds, and I said weight control. I didn't say diet, because the most important thing is they help you keep that weight off. Another fact, another stat, if you join now, so don't wait, join now. Why? Because you can give yourself the holiday gift of health and save 50% right now. Do you have to go in? Do I have to drive somewhere each week? No, absolutely not. You can if you're in town here, but if you're not, or if you prefer, virtual visits are an option. That's right. So if you want, by the time spring comes, you'll be down a lot of weight, a lot of clothes will fit, you'll feel great. If I can do it, you can too. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. This is all fact. This is all true, and it's a winning play, Livia.com.
And thanks to everyone for showing us their underdog slips over this last few weeks too.
That's right. The best thing about Underdog Fantasy is they'll start to release lines early as the game gets on right now. So I'm just looking at Underdog Fantasy. If you wanted to do so, you can go to Underdog Fantasy, look at the pick'em options between the Vikings and Colts, and you can already see that you got an over-under of 269 yards for Kirk passing. You got 90 rushing and receiving for Dalvin Cook. So you can actually lock in these lines now in case they move up, right? You want to get in these highers or lowers right now early. So go to Underdog Fantasy. Join with promo code SCORE2, by the way. If you join with promo code SCORE, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Join Underdog Fantasy, the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports.
Gentlemen, we are going to open up another round of Purple Daily Leadership Cabinet members this week. ScoreNorth.com/cabinet. If you would like to, you can apply for a position on the cabinet. You can see the current cabinet members. In fact, I think we should name an employee of the day here. Maybe an employee of the day. Let's
Love it.
Let's throw a shout out to our guy, the Chief Frustration Officer, Mike Conlin. You are the Purple Daily Leadership Cabinet Employee of the Week. Mike's been a Vikings fan since 1980. His all-time favorite Vikings player is Adrian Peterson. The first time the Vikings ever ripped his heart out was in 1998. Mike, you, I think there's a reason why you've been the Chief Frustration Officer if 98 was kind of your first foray into Vikings heartbreak. Congratulations. You are the Purple Daily Leadership Cabinet Employee of the Week.
The flag for Mike. Mike, way to go,
Get
Mike.
the flag.
There it is, Mike. Just for you. The flag is waving. There it is. All right.
You can apply again at scorenorth.com/cabinet, and we'll go in and we will approve some more leaders here to be in our cabinet before the week is over. All right, boys, that's another episode of Purple Daily in the books here. Tomorrow we'll do a deep dive state of the offense, which may turn into a bit of a Kirk Cousins appreciation episode off one of his great games as a Viking. And if you missed it too, all sorts of great stuff from Realistic Randy and Declan on the Purple Daily podcast feed and YouTube channel. Before We Die with Jesse and Thor. And also, as of this morning, the latest Trenches with Boone episode. And he was fired up in many ways. Poor AJ, our producer, had to go in and edit some words out of that podcast for the kids. But
at least it wasn't Declan.
It's worth a watch. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow here. Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a dang Super Bowl before we die.